if you can hear that. Funny, today's video is a video that's been brewing for a long time. It's not anything like the last one. I'm trying to get back to normal service, or a new kind of service actually. Today's video is going to be about where we go, where we end up, because of CPTSD brought on by narcissism, the cage we end up in. Probably not even the cage, the hell, the personal hell we end up in. So before I go into that, and it will, I think, link up all together, I want to make it really clear that in my last couple of videos, one of which I've removed, I got very into some established YouTubers' faces about some stuff. And I stand by what I've said, but I want to make it really clear, because I've not said this yet. I'm not attacking the tubers, even though I might disagree with the decision they made. It's your right. You have freedom of speech. It's your right to say and behave, obviously, however you want. Don't need me to tell you that. What I was cross about is in both instances, I felt the community didn't take it upon themselves to address the issue. Well, they may have tried and I might have missed it. I didn't read every single comment. I get it wrong sometimes too. Exercising the very rights we've just described there. But I really like both those tubers, and I really was cross that I had to get in there, as far as I was concerned, and do something, because and it's made me feel like shit. You know, it's caused trouble for me. And I made mistakes because I was angry and I got things wrong that I really needed to be right about, and I had to retract and then do it all again and all this sort of thing. But we do have to be better. I know we're all damaged, and I know we're all vulnerable, and I know we're all frightened, but we have to be our very best, because if we don't, you know, if we don't, we're going to let people down. The community's got to be a safe place. It can't become a toxic environment. So I don't think there should be rules or anything like that. We all know that's no good. We've just got to have an understanding of what's to be tolerated and what isn't. And if somebody's being rude, just say, I'm finding your tone rude. Come on, let's get through this. But we should always be focused on trying. No, I'm not talking about trolls, of course. You know when you're being trolled after about 4 or 5 hits. I got trolled about this very issue, which is why I felt I had to do something. Because if we're a joke on the internet, I'm not having that. So today isn't about that. Today is about what I call living in hell. And I've not done this before. And I want to change the direction of my videos, and I want to do something different. I want to start really bringing my personal contribution to the conversation, and there's going to be a little more self-pity in these ones. I'm going to be honest, and but also much more confession. And what I want to talk about is this house we're in right now. This is the house where I looked after my mother for 7 years. And it wasn't all bad for all of that time. The last 4 years were very, very hard. The first 3 years weren't too bad. In fact, sometimes I find it hard to remember the chronology, because the last half of looking after my mother, there was an enormous amount of sleep deprivation. stress, anxiety. I now know I had TSD all the way through it, and much worse than I've got it now, because since I've been part of the community, I've started to heal. I was in no condition to look after my mother at all, but I got through it, and I was a good carer. But I did lose my temper sometimes with my mother. I didn't hit her or anything. I mean, I think there was one occasion when I was very frustrated and I punched the bed and her leg was there, and she was very upset, and so was I about that. But it wasn't that bad. It was just that these things happen when you're caring. If you're not, it shouldn't happen. But I was put in an impossible situation. You know, I was pushed beyond normal human tolerances. But on the whole, me and my mother got on very well, and I looked after her. And I can't say I'm proud of it, because it's not that kind of a deal. Duty got me through it. Not love or pride in myself or anything. Pure, unadulterated duty. You have to do it. You have to do it. I knew if I stepped back, my family would put my mum in a inadequate nursing environment, because she was extreme. She had three or four, I think it's kind of four altogether, but three main, very serious illnesses, all of which needed medical supervision. Obviously, I'm not a medical man, I'm not a clinician, but I could liaise, you see, with medical supervision. So I could effectively be the supervisor of my mum's medical condition, and I learnt a lot, and I had amazing help from district nursing care, who are amazing people. Oh, they were so patient. They were so good to me. You know, they honestly, the NHS in this country, if there's one thing it should be proud of, it's its district nursing staff. They're incredible. My mum's GP was incredible. After that, it tails off a bit. I was really good friends with all of the caring staff that came in here. They were all brilliant. I used to flirt with the girls harmlessly most of the time. None of them ever took out any kind of injunction against me. And the guys were like my mates and would like chat to me like a mate, and they'd come and do my mum's adult diapers and stuff, and then they would give me their phone numbers. They'd say, look, if there's a problem, you know, like not the girls, that would be inappropriate, but one or two of the guys, if there was a real problem, you know, they would say, look, we'll try and sort something out later if you get into trouble, and you know, but it was a terrible situation. I was so alone. For years. My family, I don't even want to start on my family. Just leave it today that they just weren't there. And you've got this person that's completely dependent on you. And they're not going to get better. And all your family are doing is ringing you up about how the utilities are too much, and can you find this letter that's coming from the bank or premium bond? Every day, you know, is a horrible day, and your youth is draining away. and you're a musician, and you're getting older, and you don't know if women are going to find you attractive anymore when this is over. You slowly lose your fucking mind. But you keep it together because you have a shell that keeps it together like a machine. The machine on the outside keeps going and you're dying inside it. And then when it's over, everybody wants to talk about money. I couldn't function properly for it's been 3 years since my mum died, and I can't function now. I spend hours lying in my bed waiting to feel better. I've got a friend who rings me every day. I spend hours waiting for the phone to ring. It's not all like this bad because I have my relationship and my relationship with the children. And that's been the most healing thing that's happened to me. But we can't spend all our time together because I've got to look after this house, and there are legal reasons we can't spend to each other because I can't move in with her. So if I do, she'll lose all of her benefits. The money that I've got, I came into some money when it's complicated. I came into some money, nothing to do with my mum. I want to put that towards getting a house, and I asked my father to help me get a house because he's a wealthy man. He's going to be an even more wealthy man because I looked after my mum and because we didn't have to sell this house for it to go into care. And I assumed that he would, you know, do whatever it took to help me. And he didn't. He turned on me about it. And so now I'm here in this kind of morgue. This used to be a family home, and it's and then it was a care home, and now it's my coffin. And I just can't get it tidy. I can't. I walk around it and I try to tidy up and I can't. And I just stand in the middle of a room and I look at it, the mess. I'm really grateful for all the things that have gone right for me. Because some things, really good things have happened to me. But on the whole, I feel like I'm made of lead. And I am changing. It is working. It is happening. But so you see, in religion, I'm going to get really fucking angry in a minute. In religion, I fucking hate religion. I don't hate God or any of that stuff. I love the idea of Jesus. I love reality of Jesus, if you like. I don't know. I'm not qualified to say. I understand and I like the concept, and I completely. I just, with things like that, you just know it's there. I don't mean Jesus the person. I mean, Jesus doesn't need defending, for God's sake. He's like a part of the texture of our life. God, likewise, okay? And that goes for all the other religions. They're just there. They're like part of the furniture. They're part of the architecture. That's why I'm one of them people who does, you know, say profanities and use God's name in vain. I could be wrong. I might be going to hell for that. Well, you know, hell. Because I think Jesus and God are fine. I don't think God is, or Jesus, if they exist, whatever, as they exist, whatever form they actually are, you know, I think we're the ones in trouble. And that's the point of it. You shouldn't sin. You shouldn't say, take Jesus' name or God's name in vain, the Lord's name in vain, because it's you that's going to degenerate and be decadent by doing it. So, and for some of us, we feel we're already unravelled. And I guess we hope that by the grace of what people call God, we will find a way. And it is ungracious of us to be rude about the only source of salvation and hope, I suppose, etc. Anyway, but churches and fundamentalists and people that preach the Bible too much, I find very disturbing, people, because it's always something else. It never feels. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's actually trying to convert or preach or pushing religion. I've never felt I'm getting closer to the God. I feel I'm getting closer to their domain, their controlling domain, and that's just how I feel, and I'm utterly paranoid about it, as I think is completely understandable if you're a victim of narcissism, because religiousness, for want of a better word, I don't think we found a way to be religious that's healthy, actually. Not part of an organised religion. I think all of it got problems, and just another great human failure of ours, you know. Put it with the rest. We're not really very gracious creatures. We're not some of us are great, but on the whole, we're very flawed. And narcissist abuse victims, I think, are the end result of the flaws in other human beings. But we have to do our best. We have to fight the good fight. We have to salvage what we can. And we have to survive, and we have to heal. And some of those things are not... some of those things are going to contradict other good things. So needing to surviving might mean having to be selfish and not as conscientious and kind as we could be. This is all entry-level stuff, and you all know it, but I'm covering myself as I go. So living in hell. Hell isn't a big burning place where people are tortured, as we know. Hell can manifest itself in your life. Which also asks the question, is that also true of the end of the world? Everybody's been obsessed with the end of the world for as long as we've had the New Testament. if not from before. And that's just the Christian, sorry, that's just the, you know, the one we've got over in the West, which, don't forget, we got from the Romans, who were trying to save their empire with Christianity. There's all sorts of stuff going on there. That don't mean it isn't true. It's this. It all goes back. We must remember it. All the way goes back to events in Jerusalem, isn't it? Jesus is a very important idea, at least, if not a reality. I have no idea if he's a reality. I hope. Yeah, great. He's a reality. Fine. What I mean is, if hell can happen to you and it not be a place you go to when you die, if the apocalypse is what happens to each of us individually and isn't something that happens at the end of the world, because every single one of us, when we die, that's our apocalypse. You know what made me think of this? I was thinking about my dad, and he's going to die sometime in the next 20 years. And being a narcissist, he doesn't want to die. And I thought of that line from Revelation, and there will be much, what is it? It's some line about grinding of teeth. There will be much wailing and grinding of teeth, which interestingly we've manifested in lots of interest in the way that we've co-opted all these zombie movies and TV shows like The Walking Dead and the remake of Dawn of the Dead and stuff like that over the last 15, 20 years. Like zombies literally at the gate snarling and grinding their teeth. So it's really on our minds. We've recreated, and of course, an entire any zombie story is a violent depiction of the apocalypse and the last days, as in Revelation. Lots of stuff about the dead when will rise up and stuff. It's a debased version of the end of the world, and then the snarling and wailing of teeth. Zombies didn't used to do that. Zombies used to sort of shamble around and sort of take it. Now they're monstrous. We've depicted a horrific vision of ourselves, mortified and monstrous. The last thing that we'll be before existence of any kind ends completely. And I think as a species, we're conscious that narcissism is a deadly and brutal and psychotic, even Luciferian, if I don't want to mix up my ideas too much, but a dreadful, dangerous, vicious, inhumane manifestation, not so much of evil, but of death itself. Because that's what we really fear. Death. Not just dying, but the manifestation. Philip K. Dick talked about this in his book. So I was a big Philip K. Dick fan as I grew up. He really comforted me with his writing. His dumbass science fiction books full of crazy humanity. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. He said death, he concluded throughout, as he got towards the end of his writing, that death was a force that was trying to manifest itself in the real world as an evil, voracious, black hole energy thing that wants to suck life dry out of every fucking thing. And one of the ways it manifests is through human frailty and cruelty. And some people are vessels for this death. And now we've got narcissism name tag, we know. We've got it. We've got its name. We've got its number. We've got it. Isn't it fascinating how it came so close to it? Didn't it end up in some book? Is it called the DSM? Some medical book. See, I don't know anything. Some medical dictionary, and didn't it get put in and taken out? Somebody tell me. We're so close to it actually being recognised as a medical condition, but they just can't do it because it's got it. You know what? The damn thing doesn't want to be named. It doesn't want to be. And I know this sounds like a lot of paranoid nonsense. And that's all right. I'm drawing a picture. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm drawing a picture so that we can navigate. It doesn't want to be named. It's the enemy. It's the enemy that's been stalking humankind through history, if you like. This is an analogy. It's a parable. It's a story. And it could even, and who knows, it could be true. It's as true as any parable or story. The thing about Jesus is Jesus is an icon for suffering and self-sacrifice and for sinlessness and all of those things. Something that's meant to be a kind of a high watermark. So when we suffer, a lot of us see ourselves as Jesus, talk about ourselves as Jesus. Jesus, like with Messiah, even Messiah complexes, although not always as simple as superiority Messiah complexes, sort of ones to do with crucifixion. Crucifixion, again, historically, apparently he wasn't crucified on a cross. Don't want to get into arguments about that. I've just heard that they didn't used to use crucifixes in Roman times to administer capital punishment. They use some kind of straight upward stakes, but the crucifixion image is so important because the arms are outstretched. He's vulnerable, and he's also embracing, the world, humanity. It's a symbol both of terrible suffering, and accept. It's all going on at once. He's nailed into that position as well. Mankind has nailed him into that position, and his arms are open. You see. It's not about. I'm not trying to preach any kind of religious conversion to people. I'm just saying this iconography is so important. We've got the iconography of the Jesus figure. We've got the iconography of the apocalypse and zombies and stuff like that. We've got the iconography of it's all going on, and we've all got to figure it out and get to our own conclusions, our own place. And I thought about my dad, and I thought about him dying, and the frustration and anger he will feel on his deathbed because he didn't get to control me completely. And I tell you now, he has a lot of control over me over the years. He got me looking down here, looking after my mum for almost 10 years, right? 10 years if you include the 2 or 3 years I spent making sure she was all right remotely before I moved in with her, when I was getting her shopping organised every week and I was coming down. I mean, this man has dominated my life quite remarkably, and it was only because I literally had nothing left at all that I finally lost it with him. I had no I was like a caged animal, snarling at the person that was trying to put food through the bars of the cage when he came after me, because whatever I had left, it was I didn't have any choice about giving that up. I mean, it was utter self-preservation. And when I think about the wailing and gnashing of teeth, I think that every single person has their own personal apocalypse when they die, and they wail and gnash their fucking teeth because they're godless. These sorts of people, these narcissists, I have no idea what I'm trying to achieve today. This might be my worst video ever. I'm starting something. I'm starting something new. So it's going to be really shaky. We're on the front line of a war. This isn't about chemistry on its own. This isn't just about chemistry in our brains. This isn't just about familial bullying. We are the story. We are the human story.